Okay, here we've got a question. Always read through the words carefully. When you get to the end of the second line, you hit the magic words plus on distribution, so that sets the scene for the question. Do look for all the detail though. The number of patients each month is the random variable, and it's got a mean of 1.5. Not much thinking to do in A.E1 because it asks you directly about the probability that x equals 2, and you've got a formula on page 11 of your formula book for working out individual Poisson probabilities. If it's an equal sign, then use the formula rather than going to the tables. Then in A.E2 we want the probability that exactly 2 patients will contract this bug in each of 3 consecutive months. So we've gone from 1 month to 3 months. The question you always have to ask yourself is, are we just dealing with a Poisson over a longer period, or are we interested in each separate month? And we are. This word each means that something has got to happen 3 times in a row. In fact, that thing that happens 3 times in a row is your answer to A, so you should .E1, so you should be able to use that answer in a fairly simple calculation to get the probability of it happening 3 times in a row. In part B, we've got to write down a distribution for y, which is the number of patients contracting the bug over 6 months. So we've gone from 1 month to 6 months. We've got to write down the distribution. Now you're best off doing that by saying what y twiddles with the correct symbol and then the correct value in the brackets. But the 1 mark, although there is only one, is for 2 things. You've got to name the distribution or write the correct symbol for that distribution, and you've got to state the value of the parameter of the distribution. Then in B2 we need to use that distribution. We can tell that because we're dealing with a 6-month period to get the probability of at least 12. So these words at least will give you a certain inequality. And to think about that, you need to list the value 12, a value or so on either side, and think about which group here would be circled for at least 12. In fact, your pattern of numbers is going to go to the right. It's going to be a certain value and above. You need to look at the uncircled values, the unlooped values, so that you can use the table to look up the probability of y being less than or equal to a particular value, and then you can subtract that from 1 to get the probability you need. In part C, we need 2 assumptions for a Poisson model. So on the front of your booklet for this chapter, you should have a clear statement of the conditions when you need for a Poisson model to be appropriate. You need to pick out 2 key words or phrases from that are not stated in the question already, as things that you'd have to assume for that to be valid.